Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Welcome to the TMZ Podcast. Harvey, Levin here.
Jaime here.
And Jason.
So, Kanye West has finally basically gotten what he deserves right now.
Right.
With these anti-Semitic comments. And, you know, Adidas, better late than never, I suppose. But, you know, my question now is, and I'm really interested in this, the resale market. What are people going to do? Because there's a ripple effect to this. What's going to happen with the resale market? Are people good? Because it used to be that you could buy Kanye shoes, you could buy Yeezys for what, like $200-300. They were selling them for $1,000. Is the resale market going away with him or not?
I think it's going to go two ways. One of our people who work here is a big sneakerhead, Keith. Big Kanye fan, but he's done, and he said he's not paying another dime for one of his shoes, which is.
I have a feeling he's in the minority, though.
Do you?
I do. I mean, I think there'll be a short-term reticence from people to wear and buy Yeezys, but I think that these things have a way of going away, and I think we see it over and over again. Musicians, movie stars, politicians. That they have these, we've talked about it at length, right? We write people off, we say that it's the end, and then they come storming back bigger than ever.
Is Kanye going to storm back?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. And look, the reason I don't think so, because look, when you listen to what he's saying, it feels very intentional. You know, this is not somebody, you know, where we see them just unhinged going off in a rant. I mean, when he was sitting with Piers Morgan, he seemed calm. And
no, he's articulating a political and a social opinion that he has.
That said, he has a severe mental illness. And doesn't seem like that's going to get any better because he's not taking his meds. He said that.
Yeah, I don't know any illness that makes you hate Jewish people.
No. I agree. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, I don't think whatever he's doing and whatever is in his head, that doesn't seem to be getting better. And I don't see.
You're saying in order for him to bounce back, he would need to recalibrate his message.
That's
he would
exactly
need to
what I'm
reform.
saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Fair enough. If he continues to double down, triple down on these comments or doesn't issue an apology, it's hard at that point to forgive him.
It's not coming. I don't know what everyone's waiting for. Let's believe what he's saying and move on.
Well, and it, you know, if he apologizes, it just seems, you know, it's sort of like a Corden apology.
Well, how do you apologize for a belief? He didn't make a mistake. He didn't fumble his words. He didn't trip.
Right.
How do you apologize for a belief?
Forward. There's a mea culpa. There's a I've
When he
spoken.
goes and tours Holocaust sites?
Exactly. You speak to the local rabbis. I mean, we had Nick Cannon do this, right? He made not nearly to this degree.
Well, and I think Nick Cannon, how many comments did Nick Cannon
He made
make?
one bad comparison.
It was one, but you saw the path that, look, I don't think Kanye's going to do this, but you see if Kanye goes on the rehabilitation path and goes and meets with the local rabbis and comes out and says that, you know, I'm a mentally ill individual. I say things. I feel more stable now, and I realize that my comments were hurtful, and I've met with local leaders to understand the pain that my comments caused. We've heard this before.
Okay.
There's a script.
So what does Kim Kardashian do with these kids and custody?
This is the question of the moment for these two. Because I think she has grounds to go into court to change the custody arrangement based on the comments.
She should.
They actually don't have one yet. There's a trial looming in December.
You're right. It's informal at this point. Right.
What happens?
Yeah.
These kids, they're little and their brains are not fully formed, and I would not want my kid around somebody who truly believes that. These are not older adult kids or even teenagers who have their own opinions. No, you're not hanging out with my 3-year-old.
It's so interesting because then it's open warfare.
Kanye, no, exactly.
And that's, it could be, I don't know how dangerous, maybe dangerous. Number one. Number two, he's going to come back and fire hard at Kim, questioning the decisions she makes. It may not be assertions of anti-Semitism, there's none of that, but she makes decisions that I think are questionable from society's point of view. Without passing any judgment, society might judge some of the things she does as antithetical to being a good parent, for example. He's going to make those statements. He's going to go, it's going to be hell, fire, and brimstone if she comes after
Well,
him.
and you got to remember, too, that if there is a trial, and right now one looms in December, and Kim is, and we don't know this is going to happen, but if Kim put on a case and said, look, like Jaime just said, these kids are impressionable. Kanye is spewing anti-Semitic hate, and racist hate too. I mean, white lives, the whole thing. How does Kanye respond to the judge? Do you think he's going to somehow get more measured? I don't think so.
Is the judge Jewish in your saloon?
Well, look, I mean, that's
it's an issue, right? I mean,
it is an issue.
I don't know. I didn't know.
But let's forget about that.
Yeah.
What does the judge say if Kanye quadruples down? Does the judge say you're going to get supervised visitation? Does he give him joint custody? Does the judge say not until you're stable and taking your meds? What does the judge do?
Look, I think that there's a real possibility that a judge would side with Kim in an effort to keep the kids more limited from Kanye, maybe supervised, but it's going. Look, we know courts are very reluctant to ever take kids away from a parent. Even, the default is 50-50, assuming both parents are going to be present, which they both could be. Very reluctant to take him away from Kanye. But Kanye's going to have to say the right things, and if they don't, I think a judge will start stepping down the road towards removing custody.
Kanye can't even keep a lawyer, so let's get started there first.
He doesn't have one
exactly.
now. So
what does
he? Well,
assuming he shows.
Assuming he shows, this is going to be a real issue in court.
I agree completely. And this is the most interesting thing for me, and also the most dangerous thing, not from a physical danger, but most dangerous for this thing erupting into something awful and personal and nastier than it even is now.
Okay. I want to go to something else because I am really interested in this Britney Spears blowback.
Man.
So Britney Spears has now, I mean, she's just gone off the rails with this. You know, don't you just love the nerve of women who stand firmly getting awards and speaking on their behalfs about not showing their bodies on Instagram? She is referring to a comment Selena Gomez made 6 years ago. Remember, Selena Gomez.
It was actually 2016.
Yep.
Correct. Yeah.
Selena Gomez went to her wedding. Selena Gomez is beloved, and Britney Spears is getting significant blowback now by her fans, by people who were supporting her. And what is really interesting about this is Britney has a mental illness. We know that, right? I mean, that's why she got in the conservatorship. Whether it shouldn't have lasted as long as it did, but it's really hard for anybody to argue she doesn't have a mental illness because she's been diagnosed.
Sure.
So, at a point, what's really interesting here is that she has a mental illness. Is it the mental illness speaking?
Yes.
But if it is, then shouldn't her fans? You know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying, but I think you are underestimating the power of a Selena Gomez fan. These are like Beehive level people. Like
Really?
they're
Selena?
relentless. Oh, the Selena fans. Don't you remember they were like ruining Hailey Bieber's life? Hailey Bieber.
That's true. They were ruining Hailey Bieber's life.
These people are no joke. And so, first of all, of course it's mental illness. You don't wake up in the middle of October in 2022 just angry about something that she said in an award show in 2016.
There would, just to edify me, there was nothing precipitated this at all.
Nothing. And to be honest, we really don't have any proof that they were even really friends. She was invited to the wedding, but I think she went just as like almost like a pity invite.
I think the wedding is almost beside the point.
I'm just saying that to use that to say they're friends, I don't think they're friends. I don't think they ever were.
My question is that Britney Spears, everybody was saying get her out of the conservatorship, which is fine. But what they never addressed is, does she have a mental illness? And at what point do you excuse and at what point don't you excuse? I mean, in a way, we dealt with this just a minute ago.
It seems that whatever
Kanye West crossed the line.
Yeah.
It seems that whatever arrangement she has with, she's not in conservatorship anymore, but obviously she has some sort of caretakers, people who are with her.
She's got Sam.
Down to her, yeah, and that's kind of part of the deal. It just is.
I can't help to bring this back up again, but there were a lot of very loud voices calling for an end to the conservatorship. This is not somebody who, from my perspective, is able to handle her own affairs. And I think this is waking up in the morning, I don't know if she like watched Only Murders in the Building last night
Yeah.
and just woke up just incensed at Selena Gomez, maybe her success or something, and decided to go on a really angry and nasty rant
But
about her.
somebody's watching over her because the caption's taken down, and now it's
Well,
just
she has
three
a social media person.
Yeah.
Look,
3 roses.
here's the point that I'm trying to make. There were a lot of people who were saying, end this conservatorship,
Yep.
which I totally get.
Yep.
But they never said she had a mental illness. In fact, they were kind of saying she didn't. They didn't. Nobody came out and said she's fine. They said she shouldn't be in a conservatorship. And that's okay. But by not addressing the fact that she has a mental illness, in a way, really hurts Britney Spears, because then if people are saying she's okay, it's easier to go after her than if you acknowledge she has a mental illness, but say the conservatorship's gone on too long. What I'm trying to say is that the fans who tried to get her
Where
out
are
of
they
this
now?
are turning on her, and they're turning on her because they never acknowledged in the first place that there was a problem that created the conservatorship legitimately.
Now, the problem with the conservatorship, it got such a bad rap because Jaime, her father, is such a corrupt man.
No, I'm sorry.
You don't think so?
Now,
In the beginning, he saved her life. But do you think today Britney should be in a conservatorship?
no.
You don't.
I'll tell you why. Because, look, a conservatorship, this conservatorship was designed to last her entire life. And we were told this. That doesn't seem right. Now, that doesn't seem right. Although it stabilized her, it took her life away. And to that extent, the fact that she was so miserable, I think it probably, look, is she in some danger? I think so.
This is a
I'm not her doctor.
glimpse into her
No, I know.
everyday life, and that I don't know why that's any better to let her
the
just.
grounds for conservatorship is you got to be a danger to yourself or to others.
What
And
about blowing all your money? I'm sure that she's going through money like
hold
crazy.
hold on, Jamie. How many people blow through their money? There are.
And I wish more people had other people to take care of them.
No,
I'm
I know, but
serious.
you can't
More
impose it. You can't
I
impose
guess.
it.
I just feel so dangerous and weird, and we're all sitting back and watching it.
I mean, people have mental illness and they have to deal with it, and some people do okay, and some people don't. And she's going down.
Exactly.
back when this was all, I was a voice. Others were there based on what we saw. That I did not think the conservatorship should end.
And I was
thought
with
she
you.
was still being a conservatorship, and I am very concerned that something bad might happen. It may be, hopefully, it's just the loss of her money. I mean, that would be terrible too. But I'm worried about worse than that. And it's what do we say then? I mean, this is just.
Yeah, no, I mean, but look.
And you're putting all the pressure on her husband. You said, oh, she has Sam. So now Sam's her babysitter for life?
Well,
welcome to marriage.
Well, no.
Ladies, am I right?
I mean, look, people can live in peril without a conservatorship. And
That's true. That is true.
And I guess what I'm saying is, the conservatorship at a point went sideways. And it went sideways because she was miserable, and you can't have a conservatorship where the conservatee feels like my life is over.
Yep.
So with all that said, the fact is she's in peril. But that doesn't mean you automatically create a conservatorship. But what I'm saying is I think it's really interesting that the fans who were so determined to get her out of it and said, we love you, Britney, we love you, Britney, are either now over her or turning on her because they never acknowledged her mental illness in the first place. And she has a mental illness. There were 24 doctors who diagnosed her. She was strapped to a stretcher after she wouldn't let her kid out of the bathroom when she wouldn't release the kid from custody. I mean, there were so many things that happened to her, and people were not acknowledging it because they were on this train against Jaime Spears. And because they wouldn't acknowledge it, in a way, it's hurting her now because now they say, well, she's out of the conservatorship, she's fine, and therefore screw her. Well, she's not okay.
Well, can I ask this one final question? One of the big sort of clarion calls when she was in the conservatorship, one of the things she brought up that a lot of her supporters brought up is that she was not allowed the freedom to choose to get pregnant. She now has that freedom, and she has talked openly about the fact that she wants to have a child. Terrify anybody?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
I mean, I got to tell you, look at what happened with her kids.
I know. The whole thing.
The whole thing is
foobar, man.
I know. Okay, I think this is a success story. Matthew Perry has struggled with addiction for decades, and he's. I just think this is so admirable. He has opened up to Diane Sawyer. There's a big special on Friday night on ABC, 8 o'clock Eastern, and he is basically saying, "Here's what happened to me, and here's how I've been able to get better, at least for now." And he's doing this because he knows he has a platform because of friends. And he thinks, and the weird thing is the title of that show could be the key to his sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
Your disease is just outside, just doing one-arm push-ups, just waiting for you, waiting to get you alone. Because alone, you lose to the disease. And now I finally feel okay and feel like I've got some strength.
What does it mean to feel okay?
It means that I've developed some safety nets around this. I'm doing really well now.
Yes.
For some reason, it's obviously because I was on Friends, more people will listen to me. So I've got to take advantage of that. I've got to help as many people as I can.
What he was saying earlier in this clip was that being alone essentially is the devil's workshop to addiction, and that you need a support system around you. And when you retreat into self-isolation, you never get better because there's no one to bounce things off of. There's no one to help you to say, look, your life is this, it could be that. And I just think the idea of friends or family, creating a support system, according to him, and it sure makes a lot of sense, you need that. And that so many people who start social drinking then slowly self-isolate because they develop this addiction, and it's just easier to drink at home than it is to go out. They become so self-isolating that they never get out of the throes of addiction. And I think the fact that he talks about this and is trying to help people with his platform is really remarkable.
It is, and it's why the pandemic was such a horrifying time with anybody who struggled with addiction, because you were alone.
Absolutely.
But it's nuts. He says he went to 6,000 AA meetings.
6,000.
I've never done 6,000 of anything in my life.
15, even steps.
No, God, no.
Kidding? Not a single day.
And 15 rehabs.
15. Like, I've not gone on 15 vacations in my life. Like, that's insane.
Okay, I think that was a shot at me.
That was. Welcome back. You look tan.
Thank you. It was snowing.
Which it begs the question,
Yeah.
does he get so tan?
Yeah. Sorry.
It's remarkable. I hope like hell that it sticks. He has a great message to send because, to his point, he's so very famous. Everybody knows who he is. And he can be a fantastic spokesperson for somebody who has lived not, we know lots of celebs who've gone to rehab and come back and succeeded, and that's great, but never somebody who's done it for 20 years, 30 years, however long it's been. Friends started in the mid-90s.
We say that, but there are a lot of people who struggle silently.
There's
That's
a lot
true.
of people who don't survive, though.
Don't survive. They struggle silently. There are functional alcoholics and drug users who you just don't know, but they are privately struggling. And just the fact that he can give this kind of hope, I just think is great.
It also warms my heart so much that the cast of Friends was so supportive, and they truly are
Absolutely.
so close.
Do you guys know really quickly, when they did the Friends reunion special earlier this year, was he sober at that? Did we talk?
They said he did, and because he was audibly
he couldn't understand what he was saying.
And his people said that he had dental work, so
Right.
I have no reason to believe it wasn't true.
We don't know.
Okay.
Final thing. So the midterms are less than 2 weeks away.
Yes.
And I was thinking about this. I've been away for a couple of days, and I watched a couple of speeches from Biden. I just think it's such a mistake on the part of Democrats for Biden to talk about. I mean, there are now ads. He talks about how some of the legislation that passed is lowering the cost of prescription drugs, is lowering energy costs and everything else. It's like, that is all true, but it's almost like not acknowledging the elephant in the room, that, there may be certain things where prices go down, but there are so many people suffering because of inflation that to talk about, hey, look at all these great things, it's almost like you're out of touch. You're not listening to what people are saying. And I think that is really hurting a lot of the Democrats because what Biden says is the Democrat message. And by saying, look, we've lowered this, we've done that, it seems to me, and look, I'm just an observer of politics. I've been involved before, but it seems to me that the message should be, yeah, there's a huge problem with inflation. It is all over the world, and here's what we're going to do to deal with gas prices. Here's what we're going to be dealing with the supply chain crisis, all of that stuff, rather than touting these are things that are going down. It just feels like
isolated categories.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't land with people who are saying, I'm spending so much more money than I did a year and a half ago. That's what people care about, and you've got to address it directly.
Bernie Sanders came out and said something very
I
similar.
saw that on Sunday.
Yeah, and the other point is that Biden, I haven't heard any Democrats say, is in many ways, I understand inflation is crazy. This is the greatest economy in the history of the world. Unemployment is 3.4%. Unemployment has never been lower, and wages have never been higher. Obviously, inflation's a big deal, but the reason inflation is such a big deal is because people are spending like crazy because the underlying economy is very, very good.
Yeah, but you're saying that, and people are then, in California, they're paying $6 a gallon of gas. And so, and I was in Montana, and the price of gas was I like $3.89, and I asked somebody about it, and they said, but it was $1.85 a year ago.
Right.
Oh.
So, so my point is that you say that it's not landing with people.
Oh, I think that it is. I think people realize their wages are much higher than
hey guys,
before.
We're doing great. You can't say that now. What you've got to say is, here's the way we're going to, and Democrats are addressing these things. It just seems like the message should be head on. Look, we got a problem. Here's how we're dealing with this problem, rather than here's how things are great.
Are you really suggesting Joe Biden's not a good messenger? I mean,
I think Joe Biden can be a good messenger.
Oh,
no. I really do.
Rough. It's rough.
I do hold my breath every time he speaks because I'm rooting for you, baby. But
I got to say, when he gets scrappy,
I love when he gets scrappy.
I think that connects with people now.
I do too. I go with that. But even his Instagram posts, I follow him and almost every known politician on Instagram. Even his Instagram post where it's a canned message that he's speaking to Instagram, it doesn't come off well. And I'm not even talking about his advancing age and all that stuff. I'm just talking about the message he's sending. It's kind of ham-handed. It's not crisp. It doesn't seem like there's a plan in place. This is to your point. Like, I understand what you've done, and there's some great legislative accomplishments that he can brag about.
Right.
But he shies away from them. The whole message has been weird. It starts and ends with MAGA Republicans Trump. And that counts for something. And abortion, that counts for something. But what people vote with is their pocketbooks. We know that forever.
And they're scared to death of crime.
That's true. That is absolutely true.
I just think it's, you address those things head on because, when you look at some of the candidates running on the Republican side.
Oh, they're terrifying.
I know. And there's just, I don't know, there just seems to be a better way of reaching people and connecting with people than just saying, hey, look at all the good things we've done. Yeah. When things are not good for a lot of people, even if that's true that good things were done, you've got to address, people take for granted the good things. You've got to deal with the struggle. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the struggle is kind of being ignored.
It's give people hope. That's Barack Obama's message, right? What is the hope? Where are the 5 legislative points that are going to reduce this problem quickly? And that's what people want to hear. You're right.
But I do like when he gets scrappy.
Oh, I'll take a don't fuck with Biden all day, every day.
I'm telling you, it should be a bumper sticker.
I'll get you one for Christmas.
You have to get rid of the A Biden, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to fuck with Hunter.
Oh, I'm fucking with Hunter. Are you kidding?
We're done. See you.
Bye.